Well,
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first ever podcast called Your Input, where we want to invite people from all walks of life and share their stories about how they coped with the COVID-19 lockdown and what maybe positive outcomes they see in this whole situation, if there are any. My name is Kevin, and I'm a volunteer of Africause. It's an NGO based in Footscray here in Melbourne. And here with me is Mikołaj Miskiewicz,
hi guys.
which is a traveler from Poland here in Australia. And I'm sure he has a very different point of view than probably the majority of the population here. That's why he is our first ever guest into our new series of podcasts called Your Input. Thank you, Mikołaj, for accepting our invitation. Please, if you can tell us more about yourself. Why did you come to Australia? How long are you here, and etc.
So thank you very much for inviting me to this project and that I could just participate in the whole initiative. What could I tell about myself? I'm just like a 29-year-old traveler who decided to visit Australia and experience some amazing traveling adventures. And sadly, in the mid-March, as like majority of the world population, I got surprised
Lockdown.
by by the lockdown and the outbreak of the COVID-19. Um,
And tell us, how is it like? Because you are outside of your country, were you scared at all or anything like that? Like, what were your first
yeah,
thoughts? Yeah,
so the first thoughts, of course, I was really scared, and like obviously I didn't make many friends at the stage where I arrived because I'm here since January. So of course I've been working in hospitality business. So I was just making a really sort of light friendships. It wasn't something like um, cemented. It was just like meeting people and different festivals. So when the whole virus showed up, like I was pretty much left by myself, and I had to obviously isolate. So I got stuck in a flat in one room, just basically scared that like what's gonna happen to my family in my country, which was dealing with the whole situation much worse than Australia. So it was like I've been like between a rock and a hard place, because on one hand, like it's been really good to know that Australian government has been dealing with the issue quite well, contrary to my country, where there was like a complete chaos and basically the governmental bodies weren't like and still are not dealing with it on a desirable level.
yeah.
So
And
there
tell
was
us,
a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and basically, I was left alone. But as you can see, now I'm enjoying the weather, and I cope with the whole crisis, I would say, quite well.
did you manage to keep your job, like, or not? Like, have you been
So obviously,
working?
like I said earlier, I was working for hospitality business. So at the time when the whole virus showed up, I was working at the festivals, and I literally came back, and I remember it was the beginning of March, and then I managed to get a new job at the club, at the music venue, where I was working at the bar. And obviously just suddenly, from day-to-day basis, I've just been informed that that's it, like we're shutting down. And I was basically I ended up without the job. and I had to pay all the rent and still go for shopping and basically, you know, spend money without having an employment, which became a quite serious issue for me. And I was like, you know, struggling for a while to make ends meet. And I was like, you know, in a total state of panic. And then there was the information coming up that the states are just about to close their borders. So I was like, rather thinking whether maybe I should, you know, ask somebody for help or just jump in the car with somebody and just you know try
Run
to
away,
live,
yeah.
yeah, run away and live in the car, just to avoid like high costs of life here. And yeah, so it was quite scary situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I lost job, and like and I had basically financial issues, which now are getting better since I managed, luckily, to have a job. Like I'm really happy about it at the moment because
That's
I found
great.
myself quite lucky.
Tell us maybe how because like there were some programs for Australians here, like the job seeker, the job keeper, and probably other programs. But have there been any programs for like people like you, like temporary visa holders or backpackers? Like we can call you a backpacker, right? Because you are a working holiday maker. Did you receive any sort of support from the government or from anyone here in Australia?
So obviously, as you can know from the media and like other um, sort of news sources, people like me with um, holiday, you know what, basic sorry, because like there's some people next to me now and it's just kind of hard to reply. I didn't expect there's going to be some people around me, so um, can you pause it for a second, Kevin?
Yes.
Możesz zapauzować teraz?
Okay, Mikołaj. So, yeah, I can understand the last months were pretty harsh for you, and I'm very happy that you have a job now. But tell us,
Yeah.
as a international traveler here in Australia, a temporary visa holder, or some people call you a backpacker, I think, because you are on the working holiday visa, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Have you been eligible for because there were these job keeper, job seeker programs or other governmental funds available for people that lost their jobs? Have you been eligible for any kind of like financial support here in Australia?
So as far as I'm concerned, like the whole issue has been, I think, already deeply and widely discussed in like media and like basically other, I would say, internet online disputes. And of course, as a holder of temporary working holiday visa, I haven't been eligible for any financial support, so it's been an additional struggle for me. But like I've been like personally, I'm speaking for myself, I've been quite lucky because for past few years I've been kind of responsibly managing my financial um
Life,
resources.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I wasn't completely lost, and like, you know, I didn't end up without like you know, single penny. So I found myself quite lucky that I had this sort of financial cushion, as they, I don't know if I can use this phrase, but like I found found myself quite lucky to be in this position, you know, to have some savings. But I share my you know, compassion and you know, I don't know how to say that, like share my compassion and support for all the people who were in such position and like basically got stuck here without, you know, any financial resources and lost their job, and they couldn't afford even to come back to their own, you know, countries, which obviously struggled with the virus as well. So
yeah.
yeah, the I don't know how to basically mm, define that situation. Obviously, it was kind of unpleasant and to least say uncomfortable, to find yourself in such situation.
Tell us maybe something like about how like your everyday life looked like in the lockdown, like how your flatmates were. You were living with someone probably. How your
Yes, I
flatmates
do live. Yeah.
were reacting to the whole situation. Like, have you been able to see anyone or go out sometimes, or not really? Or,
So obviously, in the first weeks, we were kind of, um, you know, yeah, we got affected by some sort of, panic thinking, and we weren't like leaving our household quite often. It was just only for mandatory, purposes, like just for some shopping, and just literally to grab some fresh air from like just around the house area. And we were pretty much isolating ourselves, and this has been definitely affecting our mental health in a way, because first week was okay, but like after third or 4 weeks of like staying indoors, you started having really fearful thoughts in a way, like how's my future gonna look like, and like how we're gonna handle the situation with the rent. And there was like a lot of fear and uncertainty, what we're gonna do. And obviously not having opportunity to talk to other people, and like just to create human relationships with other people, just which I actually came here for, like just to meet new people and like experience a lot of social, uplifting.
not distancing, but not social distancing, but social meeting.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So it's been really kind of weird, because I was here by myself. Luckily, I had my two flatmates, which obviously was helping to some extent, and like we're good friends. But you expect something more, basically. So yeah, it was
yeah.
pretty much tough, and like this isolation, caused a lot of loneliness, and like kind of just being separated from the society. So all I could do for the most of the time was like rather spending the daytime uh indoors, and then I was, to be fair, like leaving the house during the nights, because I also, my sleeping pattern just got turned upside down, and I was rather like functioning during the nights and going out for walks, and where there was basically no people around. Yeah. And yeah, so it's been tough, but on the other hand, I must say that um being alone also taught me a lot of things, just to be independent and not relying on any source of help, like, because obviously I could call some. I was really actually happy. Obviously you didn't get the financial support as a holiday maker visa, but um
You are
sorry,
thinking
what this
of calling your parents, maybe, or
yeah, so I was in a close contact with my family and parents, obviously, thanks to online communicators and such. But um I also knew that like the government, and maybe like, actually maybe not government, maybe it was some NGOs, provided some helplines, that you could call certain institutions, and
to get some food packages, maybe, or something. Yeah,
food packages, but also like just to have some conversation with people who would provide you with with
assistance.
uplifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us,
uh,
have you been able to, like, in the beginning of the coronavirus crisis, when people didn't know exactly how it's going to be, how it's going to escalate, the predictions were, so it can be thousands of deaths here in Australia. Um, like, have you been able to get a hold of like sanitizer, of masks? Like, where did you get all these things? Like, the personal protection things for against the virus?
So yeah, actually, I didn't get like um, any real help in this matter. Actually, my one of my flatmates was like paranoid. I could say, I could use this word, to that extent that he was been looking, he's been taking care of these things, and like he managed to buy online some masks and like some sanitizers. So we're kind of well prepared, you know, to when it comes to this kind of resources. However, of course, again, we were completely relying on ourselves, and like, you know, there was no help in this
So,
regard as
so it
well.
was
So
chaos, like a bit chaotic situation because they said you have to wear a mask and you wash your hands and this and that, but there were no masks at store in the stores or hand sanitizer, right? It was all sold out in the beginning, in the first, I don't know,
yeah, yeah, this
one
whole
month,
hoarding
first month.
thing with toilet papers and like all the pasta, rice, fights. It was unbelievable. But this is what happens when you just kind of um, following the mass media, you know, messages, and you just heavily relying on it. It was just a, you know, self driving vicious circle of like fear and paranoia. That's why you always have to embrace certain values in life and just not, you know, not follow it so easily, if you know what I mean, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you have to have your own.
Just to, you know, just to find some sanity in the insane times, you know.
Yeah.
This is a good approach, I think.
Did you panic buy yourself, like in your own household? Did you guys like make any stock for your pantry or stock of frozen goods or whatever? Did you panic buy?
Not really, not really. We were trying to be sensible about the whole issue. Like our like closest shop is literally like a maybe, you know, 5 minutes walk. So we were definitely those kind of panic buyers, and yeah, we're trying to stay sane about the whole issue.
Yeah, it's hard actually. Me, myself, and my partner, we did like a bit of like a stock, like because we never did any stock, so we had pretty much empty pantry because we just bought whatever we need, like trying to be minimal always in life. But when this thing came out, we did like a 1 or 2 weeks worth of stock, which was quite unusual for us. But yeah, yeah, that's what that was it. Okay, and going to the next question I wanted to ask you, like, how would you like, in general, as a, let's say, foreigner here in Australia, alien in New York or alien in Melbourne, let's say, how would you rate Australia? How the Australian society coped with the crisis, like with the social distancing measures and all together? Like, how would you comment on it?
Okay, so I must say that all the instruction provided by government were really spot on. Like, I think it's working very well, and like they're handling situation very well. Of course, like the economic crisis couldn't be, you know, avoided, and like the newspaper and media says that it's the first recession that hit Australia since like in 29 years,
Yeah.
and that's really sad. But I think it's a global like phenomena. So you know, you just have to embrace it. But yeah, when it comes to all the social distancing, all these rules, and like all, when I see all the cleaners who are like basically disinfecting areas, you know, in public spaces, I was really amazed, like you know, how well organized the whole process is, basically. So with in this matter, I could not complain at all, and actually this gave me some sort of, you know, personal security that you know, things are heading in the right direction. Uh, yeah. So what was also the other part of your question?
Yeah, yeah,
Is this
that's pretty
answer
much,
okay?
yeah, that's pretty much it. And like Do you see any like positive outcome of this situation? Like because like we are now, yeah, maybe a bit social distancing from each other, but at the same time we are more like taking care of personal hygiene and washing our hands, because like the statistics said, not every Australian like person in Australia was washing their hands so often as they should, and this and that. Do you think there's any lesson that we have from this lockdown?
Well, like definitely, like a lot of people had to reevaluate like the way of life, and I think we're still like there's still so many things to be changed and ahead of us in regards to environmental issues like hygiene issues. I mean, like the world is for sure changing, and this is definitely the positive outcome, because when like virus or like the pandemics like this like breaks out, like people start to think more on like existential level, not rather about like their consumption and shopping matters and all this kind of really
Traveling, yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's the positive outcome. um, but obviously when it comes to human relationships and like making new friendships, this is the area which actually gives me a bit of like you know um, uncomfortable feeling, in a way that like I basically I'm still alone here, and like it's really hard to meet new people really. And that's quite tough, like because even when you try approach somebody, everyone's just kind of still um
Yeah, it's
really
it's awkward. Yeah, like the
it's
same. I have.
awkward, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have the same situation where like I parked my car in the garage and I wanted to go to the lift, but then I'm feeling like a bit awkward. I don't know if I should go with someone or someone doesn't want me to go, and then I will invade his social space, or I don't even know if it's legal if I can be in the lift with someone if it's not like my flatmate or my girlfriend or whatever. So I just prefer to stand back and I say hello, but then I just stand and like 2 meters away, and then the person
Yeah,
goes in, and I just go with the go use the stairs, or I just wait for the next lift. But this is like something weird because before I would certainly go with someone, and now it's like I'm not really sure what I should do.
yeah. Like I find myself as a kind of wanderer and like independent um traveler, I would say. So I've been always like meeting new people in various places like pubs or clubs or you know even like music events. And now this is all like suspended and like it's not functioning, obviously. So that's kind of like hurtful, and in a way that you have to basically um lead your life in a way alone. You just I have literally maybe two friends that I could talk to in the whole Melbourne. And apart from that, it's really hard, actually. It's just usually it's just the other reactions are just only smiles at the shop counter, or like while you do some shopping, or you just order maybe some food. This is it. This is the all the reaction human reaction I get. And you know in this environment, in this reality. So this is kind of tough.
Yeah, I think I can understand you. It has to be pretty hard for you, especially as a single traveler living in a foreign country.
Exactly.
For the last question, Mikołaj, I was thinking like there are also some opinions that there will be a second wave coming, second wave of the virus. And what do you think like we could do to maybe prevent it, or how we could maybe prepare, or how will you prepare for how are you preparing for the second wave if you believe in it?
Well, I think what can you do is just like stick to the rules that are like already existing. Just practice social distancing, wash your hands often. Like and hope for the best that like literally, you know, Australia won't be affected by the second wave, and what, and if it, even if it happens, just, you know, um just just appreciate what's here and now, like focus on the present time, like sort of a maybe a Buddhist approach, and and you know, like don't let yourself to be driven by fear and anxiety. It's rather overcome it, and just, you know, embrace life as it is. Like, you know, this is not the first plague in the history of humanity. So, and I think thanks to the like modern solutions and you know, new technologies and advanced like health resources, we're able to overcome it in a more efficient and effective way. So um
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. This is the message we want to say.
basically
Yeah.
yeah, so, you know, just appreciate here and now, and just don't, you know, think in a negative way. Basically, that's all I can say. Well, yeah.
Thank you, Miko. I think this is the best what we could say. In the this will be probably bringing us to the end of our interview.